Nokia and their Lumia 920 is easily one of the stupidest stories you'll hear about tech fails. This was supposed to be their comeback phone, and they decided to show off its incredible optical image stabilization. You know, the feature that allegedly turns your wobbly, caffeine-shaky bike footage into a smooth cinematic tracking shot. In the ad, a guy films his girlfriend cycling, as if this was just a casual afternoon with a Hollywood-level camera in his pocket. Except, internet detectives noticed something fishy. In the reflection of a shop window, you could clearly see a guy in a van holding a professional-grade $10,000 red cinema camera. That's not enhanced marketing. That's a complete bait and switch. This wasn't just implying the phone did the work, it flat out told you it did. In the age of Reddit sleuths and frame-by-frame YouTube breakdowns, this was like tossing bloody chum into shark-infested waters. Nokia scrambled to apologise, but the damage was already done. For a company hanging by a thread, this wasn't just a PR misstep, it was cutting the rope entirely. The Lumia 920 went from being their last great hope to a running joke in the tech world. A symbol of how one bad ad can completely overshadow a product's actual merits. And Nokia is just the start. I have a whole list of awful stories about failed tech inventions, from fake ads so brazen they're practically begging to be memed, corporate greed dressed up as innovation, so shameless you'd think it was satire, and enough PR disasters to fill an entire Netflix docuseries. This isn't about minor bugs or slightly disappointing product launches. These are full-scale implosions caused by hubris, arrogance, greed, and a baffling lack of basic self-awareness. Netflix had its own all-time blunder in 2011, which was over 14 years ago. My god. Back then, they were the cool disruptors, DVDs by mail, no late fees, and the exciting new option to stream movies online. They had practically invented binge culture before it even had a name. But then, in what might be the most galaxy-brained decision in streaming history, they split their DVD and streaming services into two completely separate subscriptions. Not just separate pricing, separate companies. They even rebranded the DVD branch as Quickster, which sounded like the off-brand mascot for a discount convenience store, or someone Bubsy would fight. Does anyone get a Bubsy reference? Customers quickly realised that keeping both would mean paying about 60% more, and they revolted in force. Over 800,000 people cancelled, and Netflix stock price lost half its value in just 1 month. The backlash was swift and merciless, with headlines calling it one of the worst business moves of the decade. The company reversed course almost immediately, but not before cementing Quickster as a case study in how to alienate your customer base overnight. Even today, when Netflix makes a questionable decision, Quickster gets dragged out of the tech graveyard as a reminder of just how badly they can miscalculate their audience. And yet they still went ahead with the password crackdown. Ubisoft's foray into NFTs in 2021 was like watching someone trip over the same rock, get up, dust themselves off, and then enthusiastically sprint straight into it again. And remember, NFTs, when monkeys could make you hypothetical millions. Yeah, Ubisoft saw that and thought, this is where the money is. They rolled out Ubisoft Quartz, hyped as a revolutionary way to own unique in-game items in Ghost Recon. The marketing made it sound like these were going to be rare, collectible treasures, the kind of thing you'd tell your grandkids about. But the reality? Everyone got the same helmet. The only unique element being a serial number etched on it. That's not innovation. That's a digital participation trophy, and the grind to earn one without paying 600 hours. That's the length of about 400 feature-length films, or enough time to actually knit yourself a real helmet. Gamers took one look and collectively laughed them out of the building. The trailer racked up a 95% dislike rate on YouTube before Ubisoft yanked it. When the dust settled, the project had netted them about $400 in sales, which is probably less than they spent on catering the launch day press event. Their hit to their reputation, immeasurable. But I'm sure Ubisoft is still doing well, right? Then there's EA's 2017 revival of Star Wars Battlefront 2, a game that should have been an instant slam dunk. The original Battlefront games were beloved classics, so expectations were sky high, but EA decided to lace the whole thing with loot boxes and microtransactions so predatory it made mobile game monetization look modest. Characters like Darth Vader, literal icons of the franchise, were locked behind grind times so absurd that many players calculated it would take 40 hours of non-stop play just to unlock one. The alternative, of course, was to pay real money. When a frustrated player pointed this out, EA responded with the now legendary line about wanting players to feel a sense of accomplishment. The backlash was nuclear. The story jumped from gaming forums to mainstream news outlets, and governments in multiple countries started investigating whether loot boxes constituted gambling. EA eventually overhauled the system, but the damage was done, and Battlefront II became the poster child for corporate greed in gaming. And then there's Raw, an MMO that promised players a living, breathing virtual city where you could do everything from run a business to become the mayor. The Kickstarter trailer looked incredible. Sprawling cityscapes, complex systems, endless possibilities. But the internet has a keen nose for vaporware, and people quickly noticed that every animation, piece of furniture and character model was pulled straight from the Unity asset store. Behind the scenes, just two developers attempting a project that would have required a team of hundreds and a budget in the tens of millions. The gameplay trailer was so fake that it became a meme overnight. Kickstarter shut the project down, fined the creators, and the dream, if it ever was a dream, vanished instantly. Stepping outside the gaming world for a moment, let's talk about John Deere. You might think of them as the wholesome green tractor company, but their approach to repairability has made them a villain in the right to repair movement. Their newer tractors come with engine control units that lock down the machinery the moment a problem is detected. To fix it, you need special software and tools, only available through John Deere and at John Deere prices. Farmers who have traditionally repaired their own equipment for generations suddenly found themselves unable to harvest crops without corporate intervention. This isn't just inconvenient, it's devastating to livelihoods. The backlash has been fierce, leading to 2 major class action lawsuits, but the fact that the practice has persisted for years shows just how entrenched these anti-consumer policies can be. Then there's Boeing, a company that has already had its share of disasters with the 737 MAX. You'd think that after 2 catastrophic crashes, they'd be going over every rivet with a magnifying glass. But in January 2024, a door plug literally blew off a brand new plane just minutes into a flight from Portland to California. Imagine settling in, scrolling through your phone, maybe halfway through the opening scene of Shrek 2, when suddenly daylight. Belongings flew out, a man's shirt was sucked right off his body, and yet incredibly, no one was seriously injured. Investigations revealed loose parts on multiple other planes, and Boeing's CEO was forced to admit to a lapse in quality control. Negligence is one thing, but repeated negligence in the face of life or death stakes? That's a whole other level. And we can't forget Bitconnect, the crypto scheme so audacious, it turned its own marketing into a meme. At its peak, the value of one Bitconnect coin skyrocketed from cents to hundreds of dollars, fueled by promises of a 1% daily return on investment. Do the math, and you'd be a multi-millionaire in a few years, if it were real. Spoiler, it was a Ponzi scheme, with early investors being paid from the deposits of new ones. When the pyramid inevitably collapsed, over $50 million in assets were seized, and the collapse became a cautionary tale for anyone tempted by too good to be true crypto promises. Also, you'd think that Ponzi schemes wouldn't work today with so much knowledge and examples shown to everyone. And yet they're as popular as ever. Some companies managed to dodge real consequences altogether. Apple launched the iPhone 14 with the exact same processor as the iPhone 13 and still called it a major upgrade. Amazon pushes its delivery drivers to make over 150 stops a day, often skipping meals and bathroom breaks just to keep up. And the biggest tech corporations in the world, they've collectively funneled billions into tax havens, paying a fraction of the rates that ordinary citizens do, all while continuing to rake in record profits. It's a grim future we live in. What happened to the future where robots are our butlers? Wait, oh no. WeWork's implosion was almost cinematic with how poetic it was. At its height, it was valued at $48 billion and hailed as the future of office space. Then, CEO Adam Neumann embarked on a spree of bizarre and self-serving decisions, from buying a $60 million private jet before the company even went public, to investing heavily in a wave pool company, to trademarking the name We Company personally and then selling it back to WeWork for $5.9 million. The final straw came when he cashed out $700 million in stock right before the IPO, which promptly flopped, revealing the massive losses. Newman was ousted, but not before securing a golden parachute that left employees fuming. MIT's food computer was supposed to be a game changer, a high-tech pod that could grow perfect crops anywhere in the world. The pitch was irresistible: controlled environments, machine learning optimization, and the potential to revolutionize agriculture. But the reality, the system didn't work at all. The project lead, Caleb Harper, resorted to buy and store-bought plants and placing them inside the machines to fake success. Worse, the project leaked nitrogen-polluted wastewater into the surrounding environment. MIT shut it down, fired Harper, and paid fines, but the scandal left a lasting mark on the institution's reputation, and unfortunately the environment as well. Reddit's 2023 API pricing change was a self-inflicted wound of epic proportions. By drastically increasing the cost for third-party apps, they effectively killed off beloved tools that moderators relied on to keep communities running smoothly. Thousands of subreddits went dark in protest, some indefinitely, and CEO Steve Huffman's dismissive comments only poured fuel on the fire. Engagement dropped, trust eroded, and Reddit managed to alienate the very volunteers who had kept the site thriving for years. Volkswagen's emissions scandal was corporate deception so bad it makes you question every big corporation. The company installed software in millions of diesel cars that could detect when the vehicle was being tested in a lab and temporarily reduce emissions to pass regulatory standards. Out on the road, the same cars were emitting up to 40 times the legal limit of certain pollutants. When the scheme was exposed, the outrage was global. Volkswagen faced $25 billion in fines and a permanent dent in its image as a responsible automaker. Finally, the crown jewel of tech disasters, FTX. On the surface, it was a crypto empire with celebrity endorsements, sports arena naming rights, and even a Super Bowl ad starring Larry David. Behind the scenes, founder Sam Bankman-Fried was funneling customer deposits into risky trades via another company he owned, Alameda Research. The house of cards collapsed when the value of FTX's own cryptocurrency, FTT, plummeted, triggering a liquidity crisis. Customers rushed to withdraw funds, only to find the money wasn't there. Bankruptcy followed, billions vanished, and Bankman-Fried now faces up to 115 years in prison. It's the perfect storm of unchecked ambition, lack of oversight, and breathtaking recklessness. And the public is always the one to pay. Sorry for the downer episode, but if you want something a bit more upbeat, check out my channel, and don't forget to subscribe